All right. Okay. Uh, the one disclaimer that I want to make is that even if you don't take anything out of that presentation today, I want you to notice how pretty my slides are. Thank you. But yeah, we're gonna talk about trust deficit together today, and why we're gonna talk about that because we work in crypto and we don't have a lot of trust. So do I consider myself an expert in the lack of trust in crypto? Yes, absolutely. I've been doing that for 10 years. So I came here shamelessly to tell you about the lessons that I've learned and the things that I have observed in my career. A few words about myself. As I said, I have been doing crypto marketing. I have been doing marketing for like longer than I care to admit, but I think it's coming down to like 20 years now. And 10 out of these have been I've spent in crypto. I started out very early, hit the ground running. There was nobody to learn from. When we first started building a blockchain project, I had no mentors. I had no documentation, no courses to learn from. So I was a monkey that tried things and learned from her errors. I have worked with multiple different teams, primarily in the deep in infrastructure wallet space. Um, I am currently in between jobs. I'm looking for my next gig after a series of layoffs at my last company, as many of us are. But in the meantime, I am building the Soul Sisters community, which is a community for women building on Solana and contributing to the Solana ecosystem. I'm super proud because we just hit 300 people yesterday. We started the community in January, and we have been growing it with a zero budget, but a lot of dedication and a lot of desire to do that. I like to call myself a crisis comms prepper because that's the first thing. Whenever I get a new job, that's the first thing that I do. I go and prepare a crisis communication plan. Why? Because I've had to use it so many times in crypto, so many times. And the last bit of information that I'm going to share about myself is that I am the aunt of Max, who is currently 4.5 years old. And you'll find out why that's important in a second. If you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Inks, INKS. Again, short handle because I'm old and I never changed it ever since I signed up for Twitter a million years ago. But yeah, I would love it to connect with you. And now I'm going to move on and tell you a little anecdote. This is Max. This is Max. He's an incredibly adorable and cute kid. But what's the connection between trust in crypto and my nephew? He visited me for a couple of weeks this summer, and I had the pleasure and the privilege of spending time with him alone, without his parents, without any grandparents around. We had like Auntie Max time, and it was glorious. I absolutely loved it. A great chunk of that time was spent at different playgrounds. Here I have captured a rare image with no other kids on in the frame. Usually there's a bunch of different crazy kids doing crazy stuff around because that's what kids do. So one day we were at the playground, and Max starts playing with another kid. He's bilingual, so like the whole language barrier is a thing, and he finds another kid that is also bilingual. They hit it off. Friendship is starting, and the mom sits down on the bench next to me. I take a look at her and I see that she's wearing a bum bag with the Aave logo on it, and I get excited, right? I'm like, yay, that's my moment to make a new friend. So I look at her and I'm like, hey, are you a crypto mommy? And she got defensive right away, straight from the get-go. She was like, no, I don't work in crypto. I work in blockchain. I I I don't I don't I don't do like scam projects or meme coins or anything like that. And I was like, girl, chill. Like, but also I hear you, okay? I hear you. She got so defensive so quickly that I was like, I had to roll back the tape and like think of all the times that this happened to me. Like I would tell somebody that I work in crypto and they'll be like, oh, so you promote like meme coins and rug pulls and scam projects, right? And then, we get into like defensive explanation mode. But I'm guessing if you're marketers who have spent like even a week in the space, you've probably had to do that as well. Anyway, Some other moms heard us talking about DeFi and like agentic economy, and they joined in. And it turned out that crypto is a lot more mainstream than we think. So I did make new friends at the playground. I am now an honorary crypto auntie. Um, but if we take a step back and look at like the bigger picture and like the fundamental problem that we all have in the space, it's that when you tell your drunken uncle at the Christmas dinner that you work in crypto, that's what they think about. They think about scams. They think about you working in an industry that is perceived as dishonest. I met somebody once who, again, like the first question they asked me was what I do. I told them what I do, and they started treating me like a second-hand citizen, like second-class citizen. I was like, why? Couldn't figure it out for a long time. And then later on, I found out that he just hates crypto as an industry. He thinks that crypto is the root of all evil, and that's why he disliked me. The funny and ironic thing is that he was working as a producer for a reality TV format that causes brain rot. And I was like, I don't know, man. I feel pretty good about my job. But anyway, I wasn't able to find global statistics or stats about Europe, but when you look at the stats for the US, 65% of Americans say that they have high level of distrust in cryptocurrency. 84% of them agree that crypto can easily be used for investment scams and consumer fraud. And yes, that is true. Crypto is used, and we all know that. The only thing is the point of view and the perspective and context. We don't talk like we talk about the scams that happen in crypto in isolation, rather than comparing them to the scams that happen through fiat and non-crypto related channels. But, it's all about perspective. And this is what we have to work with. We have to work with all of the FTXs and Celsiuses and rug pulls and Trump coins and rug pulls that happen in the space. And that's not a branding problem. This is, if it was just a branding problem, then it might be much easier to fix it. But if we talk about a bad or a scammy neobanking or TradFi or fintech app, in the worst case, yeah, it's clunky or it's bad. The UX is horrible. But if something happens and you lose your money as a client or as a user of that app, there's usually a way to get your money back. There's like centralized point of contact, like customer support, or somebody to reach and help you out, and you can log a dispute with the regulator. And the worst case scenario is that you maybe use a customer, maybe they leave you a bad review and they move on. But if you have enough users, that's not really going to make a dent in your bottom line. When you have a crypto project that fails, it's a rug, it's gone, and people are like, yes, crypto scam, that's it. We're not digging deeper because it's still new. We don't understand it. We don't want to go through the learning curve of understanding how this type of scam could have happened or this type of fraud could have happened in TradFi. There's nobody to give you support. There's no customer support center. There's maybe a chatbot in the best case, but not even that. And you become very vocal about that. That is my personal experience. So, that is how we got into that reputation hole where we are. And the thing is, the skeptics, they bring the receipts, because again, like if you look at the headlines in the traditional media, in the mainstream media, you will see all of those statistics and reports about the money that we lose in that were lost in crypto scams. People talk about rug pulls and like the whole like speculative side of crypto. Why doesn't anybody just make stats about, like, I don't know, money lost to the Indian scam call centers? And like, no offense to India, but like objectively, these are the YouTube videos that we see about like the whole like organized industry of scamming people. Because it's so much, like it's so much bigger that you can't even consolidate the data, I guess, or nobody really cares to do it. But yeah, we don't see that. What we see is that there were $17 billion lost in to crypto fraud and scams in 2025 alone. And that's the other thing, because crypto is new and it's lucrative and it's exciting for scammers and hackers as well. Um, the last quarter of this year was the one with the highest number of recorded security incidents. And I joked about that yesterday. Yesterday, actually, I had like two scammers, almost fell for one of them, but two scammers tried to scam me out of my crypto. Fortunately, I'm all good. But I was joking. Hey, the market is bad when you have like two attempts in one day to get scammed out of your crypto. Um, and then, because again, I mentioned at the beginning, like when we started, like it's a very young industry. Even though we have been doing that for like more than a decade now, it's still a very young industry. So a lot of the people who got especially into crypto marketing are people who just understood crypto and they held crypto and they understood the industry, and then they learned marketing, or they were marketers who kind of like figured out how to navigate the crypto world. But I think that the majority of us are people who just were using crypto and then got into marketing because of that, because they wanted to work in the industry and not just speculate and trade. So a lot of us have that, like, a little bit of a gap when it comes to PR and crisis communications and like handling criticism and accusations and suspicions of fraud. So when people say, hey, crypto is a fraud in general, a lot of us, our go-to reaction for a lot of us is like, oh, we're just going to generate hype. We're not going to do anything to change the processes or like anything that we like. We're not going to change the way we're building. We're just going to bring in more superlatives, and we're going to keep telling people how this is life-changing and how we're building the future of the internet and the future of finance or France, whatever sounds better in that case. And we use emojis and we're like, oh, this is an opportunity you can't miss. But in reality, a lot of people can and are missing it. So, that doesn't really help. That doesn't help because it makes us seem even scammier than we are. The other mistake is that because it gets discouraging and it gets frustrating, we kind of tend to gravitate around other people who already like crypto and they believe in crypto and they use crypto because, yeah, I get it. It is exhausting to spend your days with a finger pointed at you and people going, oh, you work in the scam industry and therefore you're a bad person. It gets to you. So we kind of like create those filter bubbles of people who resonate with our understanding of crypto. And that's another mistake because we kind of like turn a blind eye to the actual problem and we don't really do a lot to get out of that echo chamber and solve it. I don't think that there's a silver bullet to solve this. What I'm going to share with you here is my solution. And these tips and tricks are derived from my practice and my career working with multiple different teams. I was just thinking about that earlier today. I've had the privilege and pleasure to work with some of the most competent teams in crypto, but I've also had the opportunity to work with some truly, truly unqualified people. So I think I can speak from somebody who has seen the best and the worst. And again, I've also done a lot of experiments. I was at the forefront of communications when the crypto wallet we were building was, well, not the wallet. Back then it wasn't, the company pivoted to a wallet, but initially it was an a decentralized advertising network. We raised money through an ICO and then we were hacked. A week later, we lost all of our money. Then we recovered that money. But in that process, of us figuring out that our money was captured by white hat hackers who later on returned it to us, I was the person who had to handle the mob of a community that thought that we had drugged them and that were demanding their money. And I have seen that time and time again, and I've done that time and time again. So basically the framework that I've come up with, it's nothing revolutionary. I have just probably systemized obvious things, but yes, I have dealt with so much FUD in my life that I like to say that it has made me immortal. But yeah, my framework is simple. Again, I've tried to simplify things, and I've called them like I don't know. You can call them pillars, or you can call them a pyramid if you want. I like to think that these, like, you skip one of those pillars and your entire house falls down. It's like you need to be consistent with all of those things. Um, but yeah, it's basically transparency, consistency, borrow trust, and direct access. And competency, I put kind of like on the transparency, because competent people, they build in the open. We're going to talk a little bit more detail as we go. But yeah, the four pillars, the trust framework, whatever you want to call it. Again, I did not reinvent the wheel, but this is what has always worked for me in my career. Transparency, showing your receipts, and working in the open. There's a lot of people who develop and a lot of projects and teams who develop in stealth mode, and they try to generate some hype and some marketing, but it's not really working because they're not showing what they're building. Like, even if they announce, hey, we're building a perp dex, and really, who isn't today? But we're building a perp dex, for example, and then silence, nothing, crickets for months and months and months. And like, I get it, yeah, it is complicated to build a perp dex. You can't quite vibe code it, can you? But go out and talk about what you're doing, because there's one, you can tell people, trust me. You can be like, oh, we're building something amazing, like you can trust us. Or you can do what projects like Bulk Trade, for example, did, and be like, oh, we don't want you to trust you. We don't care if you trust us. We're a team of 6 people who are mostly developers and engineers. And we spend as much time on Twitter as we spend on building our product. And they talk about their the downfalls and the problems that they face, and the discoveries that they make along the way, and they keep updating their community with what's happening and bringing the receipt. So they're not saying trust us, they're saying here's the transaction hash, or here's the smart contract, or here's the code that you can review. So in a way, they're basically teams like that. Teams who build in the open are answering objections before the objections are even discovered or addressed by their community of prospective users. If you can link the proof, again, it's even better. Like, you have no idea. I've worked for a blockchain security company in the past, and we've done so much like co-marketing. You have no idea how many people would go, like, how many marketers would be like, oh, we just passed our security audits, flying colors, everything is amazing. I don't remember. I saw something about one of the large projects the other day. I should have bookmarked that, but I don't remember. One of the big ones. They successfully passed an audit, and they didn't publish the audit report. And to that, I say, WTF? Why? Why wouldn't you, like, or even if you put it on your website, put it in the tweet. Just put it in, make it easy for people to find it. Because people want to see that you're trustworthy, and they want to do it easily. Because if you ask me to go and dig into your documentation to find your security audits and go through them, I'm not going to do that. By the time I've done that, I have already signed up for your competitor, who put the link to their security audit in the tweet. Or even better, they had a bug bounty, and they made most of their smart contracts public, and they had the community rile up and confirm that the product is good. So build, and again, one of the teams that I've worked with, sadly, they were dismantled because they weren't able to ship anything due to poor management of time and resources, and due to like sheer incompetence. Every time I pushed for building in the open, they would get so ashamed that someone may call them out on their code. And that didn't feel great for me as a marketer, and it didn't feel great for the users of the product. And the market spoke. That team does not exist. Like, that team doesn't work together anymore. That product doesn't exist anymore. The next pillar is consistency, because you have to be consistent. Boring wins. I know that like we all want to do exciting stuff and we want to launch amazing campaigns and everything, but the thing about trust is that it compounds. It's also very fragile. It's very easy to break. But before you can reach to a level where you have something to break, you need to be consistent and you need to keep showing up, because a single viral moment is not gonna make your product, or your company or your service or whatever you're selling. What is going to make it is showing up consistently, maintaining regular updates, maintaining the same tone of voice, even if the news is bad, especially actually when the news is bad. Like, you have to be there, you have to show up, you have to show your community and your users and your token holders that you are there and you're actively working for them. You're actively trying to solve the problem that has showed up. So you have to be there. You have to be present. You have to be seen. You have to be accessible, because the quiet projects that even if they ship and they ship solid products, I don't know, like, and if they don't talk about that openly, if they don't build in the open, again, it's like they are consistent, but it's the tree that falls in the forest without anyone seeing or hearing it. At the same time, if you have a loud project that is constantly on social but doesn't ship, equally bad. That is just equally bad. So you have to be transparent. You have to be out in the open, and you have to ship consistently. The next pillar is borrowed trust. Borrowed trust. Again, I'm going to go back to the time we did an ICO in 2016, 2017, and we were literally shopping for advisors. Did they advise on what we were building? Absolutely not. But they lend us their names and their titles and PhDs and everything that people wanted to see back then, so that we can get credibility and we can be trusted by people. So this is where independent audits and reputable advisors come in. I'm not saying that you can't get someone to vouch for you for payment. You probably can, but the market and the industry are still so small that we all kind of sort of know each other, or we're connected to each other through no more than, I don't know, three degrees of connection. So I wouldn't put my name behind a project that I'm not absolutely convinced is a good project. Are there people who would do that? Probably yes. Everybody has a price. Mine is just very, very high, and probably that's why I'm saying that. I'm trying to appear honest, but in reality, I'm just expensive. JK. But yeah, having people who have already shipped, who are known in the space, and who have their personal brands established, vouch for you, that is very, very valuable. Getting them to vouch for you, that is not an easy task, but you can do that, and then if you manage to do that, you're golden, basically. Another thing that is super, super useful is having testimonials and real users. I know that there's the same 17 people moving money from one DeFi app to another in crypto, but things are beginning to change. The industry is widening, and we're bringing on fresh capital and fresh people. And the Web2 people that are coming in, they want to see a testimonial. They want to see the 5 stars on Google, and they want to see a review that says, "Oh my God, the best wallet that I have ever seen." So use that. If you can get that, take advantage of it. Make sure that you get, but also, again, like, don't delete bad reviews, for example, because there are projects that do that. Don't delete criticism, just address it. We'll talk about that, I think, in the next slide. So yeah, one credible third party is worth more than 100 anonymous testimonials. That's the other thing. You have to, because a lot of projects would just make up testimonials, or if their users want to stay anon, they're like, oh, I don't want to give you a testimonial because I don't want people to know that I'm using your service because that's another attack vector for me, and it loops in, with the circles back to scams and rugs. It's why are we even working in this industry? Sometimes I wonder. And then I remember why we love it, but it is tricky. The bottom line is here: people trust people. People want to see a picture of another person, a testimonial by another person. Would I ever reach out to someone to really ask if they're using that service and if they're really, really that happy with it? Probably not. Probably not. The majority of us wouldn't. But the fact that I can reach out to that person gives me peace of mind and convinces me to give a service a try. Addressing your critics. Tricky one. There was, again, sorry, for some reason I'm really like tripping down memory lane today. But I think it was 2018, 2019, there was another ICO attempt called the Ponzi ICO. That guy went out and said, hey, this is an ICO, I'm raising money, but I'm going to rug you. Like, I'm just going to take this money and run with it and, like, I don't know, probably go on vacation. He managed to raise $60,000, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just on pure humor. And, people would give them money. I think I gave him some money as well, just for the shits and giggles. It was entertaining. There was a novelty factor to that. But and that was his FAQ. He was like, this ICO is a scam. This is a Ponzi scheme. Even if I give some money to someone, that it's going to come from like the rest of you. And the joke aside, having a really good FAQ is, the honesty worked here. Like, that guy was honest, and I think that it's the honesty that got him $60,000. But basically, write an FAQ that if you have received open criticism at scale or in bulk, address that. If more than 2 people have asked you the same thing, like, how are you different, or like, why are you not a scam, address that. Put it in your FAQ. Put it on your website. I don't know, make a funny video on social about that. But don't be quiet. Being quiet in the face of criticism or FUD is, I think, the worst thing that you can do as a marketer. It's a very slippery slide. You have to be very careful, because losing your cool and getting super defensive is also not a good look. And a lot of people do that when put under that stress. But generally, be prepared to address that FUD. Instead of you waiting for people to dig out that embarrassing incident from your project history, make a case study out of it. Put it out. Tell people what you learned from it and how you handled it. Make and create content and create connection with the people who are still deciding whether to trust you, instead of just, again, going into that echo chamber and being like, oh, you already trust me, like, I know who you 17 people are, and I'm just going to talk to you. Talk to the skeptics. Talk to your mom, to your grandma, who is wondering if she should invest some of her money in crypto and lose your inheritance. But try to convince her. I don't know. I think it's worth it. The other thing is, again, and when I, like, my 4-year-old nephew Max would ask me the randomest questions ever. Like, he would ask me a question that would be like, I'm rarely speechless, and he would ask me stuff that often make me feel bamboozled and speechless. And then what his mom and I do is we start asking questions to understand why he's asking the question he's asking. Like, what is he trying to get to? Like, what is the major concern that he has, so that we can address those. And I think that this ontologic approach, kind of like reverse engineering the steps, and trying to figure out the internal monologue, so to say, of your critics, is incredibly valuable. and helps you understand, because sometimes like a lot of people are not great with communication. They would ask one thing but they would actually mean a different thing. So ask the questions, talk to your users, talk to your critics, and try to figure out why they're asking what they're asking, so that you can address not the symptom but the root cause. um and Yeah, I like to give people actionable advice. I don't want people to I don't want to leave with just like, a theoretical framework. So I made a list of 5 things that you can do today, even if you don't have a lot of FUD right now directed at your company or whatever you're building. I have made a little list of 5 easy things that you can do just this week, or maybe next week, because it's already Wednesday. I don't know. Half of the week is gone. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a grace period. But yeah, the first thing that I would start with is remove go through your communications, your website, your social media descriptions, your LinkedIn bios, like everywhere you have talked about yourself. Go and review for superlatives and for adjectives that you cannot support by evidence. If you say that you're building the next revolutionary perp dex, how is it revolutionary? Why is it? How are you disrupting the industry? Show your receipts. If you don't have the receipts, if it's just theoretical, remove that. You're not revolutionary. You're yet another perp dex. Is there a place in the market for you? Yes, absolutely. You're gonna have users, most likely. People love that. But be honest in your communication. And I'm not saying like be self-deprecating and tell people, hey, we're just an average verb text. We're nothing special. Don't do that either, because again, although that might be a good strategy, I don't know, it might be a differentiator on the market. But yeah, don't do that either. But don't try to make yourself cooler than you actually are, because people are going to call you out. And again, that trust is very fragile. Once you break it, they're off to the next one. A lot of us do announcements, and very often we do that's I haven't seen that in any other industry, but like in crypto, we do an announcement for an announcement, right? We're announcing that we're going to make an announcement of an announcement that will follow in Q4. Um, don't do announcements. Or if you're doing announcements, like do the actual announcements, but even better, do a demo. Just do a demo. Like instead of saying, hey, we're shipping these new features, just record a stupid little video. Like turn on your phone, record with that, or like your screen capture, record a silly little demo, do a bad voiceover, and put that on social, or put it on your website, or put it on your documentation. That is like seeing your product in action is the equivalent of a picture is worth 1,000 words. Don't be the person with 1,000 words, be the person with the demo. If there's any uncertainty, like right now, the market is crazy, for example, so now would be a good time to address uncertainty. A lot of companies are doing layoffs. A lot of companies are losing funding. VCs are being like, I don't know. We don't know if we want to pour money into that, or maybe just go into AI, or maybe like, I don't know, find the next revolutionary crypto versus AI project. I don't know. If there's any uncertainty like that, if even one person from your community asks about that, even one shareholder, one token holder, one user asks about that, make a public post about it. Be like, even if you don't know what's happening, like even if you don't know what's coming, be honest about it. Again, be like, hey, we don't know, this is what we're trying to do, or this is what we're doing to mitigate any potential problems in the future. This is what we anticipate. This is what we have prepared for. But honestly, we don't know. Like, the market changes and the market does what it does. We'll live and we'll see. But again, demonstrate that you're there consistently. You're showing up. You are not afraid to address the doubt and the FUD. Um, and that will make people believe that you're solid and that you're someone that they can trust with their money. Put engineers in front of the audience. That is, I know it's a hard one. Like engineers don't love it. When you ask them to post on social, they don't love it when you put words in their mouths. Um, but we're still in that phase where engineering is important, because again, the technology, very new. a lot of uncertainty coming from just that. So much more zero-day exploits than in any other industry. So, put the engineers out loud, show the people who's building the product. Even if your engineers and your team are anon, they don't need to be doxxed. Even if they're anon, again, make somebody accountable. And I know it sounds a little bit weird, but like, put somebody out there who people can reach out to or point the finger at if something goes terribly wrong. But yeah. And then, yeah, the last tip that I have is explain trade-offs. Is your product perfect? Probably not. I have not seen a perfect crypto product yet. Lots of them have very significant trade-offs. Some of them have less trade-offs, but like, talk about these. Like, talk about, I don't know, I can't really come up with an example right now, but like, I don't know. Talk about, okay, high gas fees, for example. That's not a current example, but like, yeah, yes, we're paying high gas fees at a certain, for a moment, but that's the price that we need to pay to be able to have crypto and financial freedom rather than using banks. I don't know, not a great example, but like, I'm blanking on a better one right now. If some of you has a better example, shoot it here. But like, yeah, talk about the trade-offs again. Like, be human, be relatable, be there, and people will appreciate that. So yeah, your audience is going to start skeptical. You tell people you work in crypto, they're like, oh, he's probably a scammer. It's not rational, it's not personal. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of media propaganda for crypto being a scam as an industry. So, this is something we have to live with. Hype makes it worse. Receipts, repetition, and other people vouching for you is what makes it better. The trust stack in that order: ideally, transparency, consistency, borrow trust, direct access. And yeah, talk to the skeptics, not just to the 7 people who will always believe in you. And yeah, your mom is in that group, which is great for you, but doesn't really help your business. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions for me, I'm here. Ask, or if you want to ask me later on, you can connect with me on Twitter. So yeah, thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate that you gave 40 minutes of your busy day to be here with me and listen to me make bad jokes. But I loved having you here. So thank you.
Yeah, that was great. I love that. Thanks, Vanina. I particularly like the framework. I like seeing it spelled out as someone who's dealt with much FUD. I think it's nice to see it laid out like that and have it in a very easy to remember way. So that's great. Do you want to do a couple of Q&As for the last 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, cool. So let's do it this way. If you want, people, if any of you guys in the space in the room want to ask any questions, you can either do it via mic, sorry, like live. If you do that, just raise your hand, or you can do it via the chat as well. And I'll try and keep an eye on the chat and then bring up the questions as they come in. So yeah, feel free to ask anything you want. Now's the time to do it. Yeah, Victory.
Okay, good day, guys. Good afternoon from my side. Yeah, my question is that I came in late. I don't know if it's possible to access the slide to be able to understand better.
Yeah, it's all been recorded, so I'll upload it to YouTube so you can view it.
Yeah, I also don't mind sharing like the deck of slides. So that is also a possibility. I'll coordinate with intern so we can probably put them on the chat.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem, Victory.
It's Wayne. I would like to hear a little bit more about the story when you said that you got hacked about from the white hackers, and then you had to deal with the FUD of that situation. I don't know if you can, or if you'd be willing to share.
Oh yeah, of
But
course. That's that literally one of my favorite stories. It's
yeah,
such
that
a such
sounds extreme.
it is an attention grabber. So just to give you a little bit of context, it's 2017. None of us know what we're doing. We're learning as we go, and we raised 40,000 ether in one day, which to this day still feels unreal. Back then, there were only two options for multi-sig wallets, and we're running a company treasury, right? So we need a multi-sig. We could use Safe Wallet, the Safe multi-sig, or the Parity multi-sig. We evaluated both and decided to, yes, they were a complete mess. And we went with Parity because we were like, okay, come on, that's Gavin Wood, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, blah, 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 PhD in music visualization. How do you not respect that? And also the Safe multi-sig was such a hot mess that we didn't even want to touch it with a stick. So we went with Parity. And then some hackers noted and discovered a security vulnerability and started draining wallets. At the same time, a group of white hat hackers noticed what's happening and started draining other wallets to protect the people from the black hats. I am woken up by the COO, one of the co-founders of the company, at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. He says, "Hey, Vanina, I don't know, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but I don't see the money in the wallet. Do you know what's happening?" The CEO of the company, who's the most technical of us, at that moment is flying, he's mid-air flying from Europe to Latin America for a brief vacation and well-deserved vacation. I look at the wallet. I don't see the money either. But again, we're very new to this whole crypto thing. Maybe we're not looking in the right space. So we called the security officer and CTO of the company. She looks and she's like, "Well, dummies, you don't see the money because the money is not there." And I have never woken up faster than that moment. It was like it hadn't even sunk in that we managed to raise 40,000 ether, which back then was about $12 million. And like it felt so abstract. It took us about 10 days, I think, to get in touch with the white hat hackers, confirm that they have our funds, confirm that they're well intended and they want to give us the money back. The condition was that there is a security vulnerability patch issued by Parity, and that we help audit that patch together with the white hats. So we did that, and in a couple of weeks, we got the money back, fortunately, and that was, in hindsight, that was a blessing in disguise because of that hack, we diversified our treasury so much sooner than we had expected, that when the crypto winter came a few months later, we were golden. We were just golden. How I handled it from a communication point of view. Back then, our blog was on Medium, so I would post constant notes and mediums about what's happening. Like, we never kept our community in the dark. We always intended to be open and transparent with people, and radical honesty. So we always published, like we started with a tweet, we published a blog post, we kept our community on Telegram and back then Discord informed about what was happening. People were freaking out. And why was that? Because the whole premise we raised that money to build a decentralized advertising platform. And then there was going to be a utility token traded within that token. That was before stable coins even existed. So that was going to be the token where in which people would transact within the platform and pay their fees and all of that. And if we didn't have the money to build that platform so that the token has any utility, then the people who, quote unquote, invested in our ICO were basically cooked. And mind you, again, that ICO era, somebody said on the side, on the chat, that was the wild west of fundraising. The FOMO was real, and we had a huge number of, again, quote unquote, investors. I don't really think they're actual investors because, like speculators, more like that. But I do have a lot of respect for those people, but I wouldn't call them investors. And a lot of them were big mad at us. Some people would get to us and tell us, I invested my entire family's savings into your ICO. And that is the moment when you go, oh shit, that person might be cooked if we don't get the money back, and if we don't build, and if we don't deliver. And it was scary. It was scary. I lost a lot of sleep over that. Not gonna lie to you. But what helped was that we showed up. We were there. People knew that they can reach out to us. People were able to talk to myself as a CMO of that project. They were able to talk to the two co-founders on Telegram. We were there. We were addressing, we didn't leave it to the community managers. We weren't like, oh, this is your problem now. No, we were on the chat. We would be addressing every question that we could. We would be as open and honest as possible. In hindsight, would that have saved us if we didn't get the money back? Probably not. We would probably be into deep shit and probably unhireable in the industry. But maybe not. I don't know. I can't really tell, to be honest. It's a lot of the projects that didn't handle things as gracefully went. Again, the timing was weird because a few months later the crypto winter came, and a lot of projects went under just because they didn't manage their treasury properly. But I like to think that their lack of communication was also partially responsible for that. I hope that answers your question, Wayne. But if you have any follow-ups, I'm open to.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just curious how that all went down and how that, and the white hat hackers, they were able to recover all the money, or it was just a portion. I mean, I know this is not really related 100%, but just curious.
They were with our project. So okay, there's a lot of that incident is still not really decoded fully. The black hat hackers hacked 3 projects. One of them was Eternity. The other one was, I think it was called City Edge Casino or something like that. And the third one, I don't even remember what was the name. The common denominator between all 3 projects that lost their money was that all of their logos resembled the infinity symbol. And our logo was a kind of a shifted infinity symbol as well. So we were potential victims. And the other common denominator was that all of those projects received in their treasury wallet addresses 1 fuck you token. Each of them, somebody created a fuck you token and airdropped one of those to all 3 projects. In our case, all of our money was captured by the white hat hackers. So we were able to recover it all in full. We did pay of
course,
fee to a reward or a bounty, if you wish, to the white hat hackers, because that was a small price to pay. We were more than happy to pay it.
Of course, yeah. And it's quite a story to live through, I'll tell you, because I think that's intense, it's freaking intense for sure.
It was very intense. It happened amidst a major PR campaign that we had paid for. So we were already in the public eye in a way. But again, looking back at things, the way we handled it and the fact that we were hacked kind of prolonged the momentum that we did with the PR campaign. So we remained top of mind for a lot of people a lot longer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
No worries.
That's a crazy story, but it was really cool. I just noticed there was a question in the comments from Eliane. It was, do you think hardware wallets are doing a good job when addressing situations like data breaches? The way Trezor addressed it, to me, felt honest, but didn't really offer a clear path on how to prevent it in the future. as a marketer, what do you think is the best way to react in those cases?
That is such an amazing question. Thank you so much, Eliane. Well, Trezor, I think that Trezor is actually doing a great job in their communications. They try to anticipate as much as they can. Also, this is not financial or shopping advice, but Trezor is, I think, the only hardware wallet that hasn't really been hacked yet. And they have had a security breach with their email database, so people can target Trezor users and fish with phishing attacks, but generally, like, the actual wallets have been good, and also their UX is really good. Like, again, I'm not advertising Trezor. I don't have any skin in the game. They're not paying me, although they should. Ledger, on the other hand, has been horrible handling security responses. I think that they have always been slow. They have never published a proper post-mortem, which is super important. I think that whenever there's a security breach, you publish the post-mortem. You explain what happened, why it happened, and how you handled it, because that is what people want to see. Nobody is insured against a scam or a fraud or a security incident, especially in crypto. This is something that can happen to all of us, but the way we handle it is the differentiator between a solid project that will be sustainable long term and a project that we're not even remember in a year from now. Another example here that I have is Tangem wallet. I purchased a Tangem wallet because I saw somebody mention Tangem on a Telegram chat. I got curious, checked their website, and saw that they have ring wallets, like literally a ring that you put on your finger, that looks a lot like those health tracking Aura rings or like the other health rings. So it's not suspicious. Like you can wear your wallet on your finger, and I figured that this is a really great way to I wanted to use that ring as a signer for one of my mobile wallets. I thought, easy peasy. So I purchased the ring. They sent me a ring that was 3 or 4 sizes bigger. And it was literally sliding off of my fingers. That was their mistake, even though I used their measuring guide. And when I reached out to their customer support asking, and I was like, look, I know it's a long shot because who's going to take back an unsealed wallet? But you made the mistake with the sizing. I used your sizing guides and to all of them, and you still send me the wrong size, which I couldn't have guessed before unsealing the wallet. Is there any way I can get a refund? They said no refund for you. What you can do is you can try and sell your wallet. And my initial reaction was, if you are telling me, if your customer support is openly telling me to sell my unsealed hardware wallet, you should not be in the business of producing hardware wallets. I'm sorry, that is my honest opinion. And then I started digging. I came across a few Reddit threads about the way they store passkeys on your iPhone. So that's not a wallet that I would use. But again, like, it's a communication thing. Like, train your customer support team how to address those issues. Like, and this is a reputation tangent. So you have to involve marketing in, even if customer success or customer support is a separate function within your organization, you have to collaborate with marketing so that you know how to address this, what words to, like, what verbiage to use, how to address concerns, and how not to tell people to sell unsealed hardware wallets. But yeah, that's, I don't know if that fully answers your question, Eliane. The TLDR is, Trezor is doing well. They could be doing better. Overall, hardware wallets could learn a lot about open and honest communication and crisis comms.
Yeah, it's a very good point also that you mentioned about customer service working with marketing. I definitely had a situation like that a while ago, and it was much better when that was the case. But no, that's good. I don't know if anyone has any final question. I know we've got 2 minutes to go. But if not, then I guess we can also wrap it up there. There's also, I want to be respectful of time. It's been a great workshop.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everyone who tuned in, for bearing with me. And again, somebody put it on the chat, 21 people in this market. I am impressed and I really, really appreciate it. I think that we had a hand raised by Sage.
Yeah. I intern. Vinana. I wanted to ask if we can get the slide you just used to display in the class.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you well. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if we can get a slide.
Yeah, I think it was just the slides. So
Yeah.
we're going to record. We have recorded.
Yeah, there's going to be a recording on YouTube of that presentation, and I'm also going to share the slides in the intern chat in the community on Telegram. But also, like, if you have questions or if you have a situation that you want to run by me and maybe pick my brain, or just hear me make a really bad dad joke, reach out to me.
Yeah, I love that. Sorry, I'm just quickly sharing the links I've just quickly shared the Telegram link, and this is Vanina's Twitter link as well. So please do follow her. Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, please do follow her, and if you need the slides during the group, like I said, it will also be on the YouTube later on. I'll share the link once I get the recording. I think it takes a couple of hours for Google to kind of come through with the recording. But yeah, thank you so much, Vanina. I really appreciate it. It's been actually really great, and it's been